What if I told you the person that you are right now is not the person you're going to end up becoming if you deliberately build the bridge between the two? If you ever thought, I'll never be able to change this, stay with me because you can, if you know how. So let's get right into the video. The reason why you aren't who you want to be yet is not because of lack of motivation. It's because of your brain wiring, your habits, and identity beliefs. They are still set to the old version of you. Say for example, you're no longer responding the way you used to when you got angry, but you're still getting angry about it as if you are about to respond that way. It's almost like trying to climb a mountain while wearing the wrong shoes. You're kind of getting somewhere, but you keep slipping and falling, and that's what's delaying your progress. The terrain changed, but you didn't. But when you change the shoes, your habits and identity, the climb becomes possible. I'm going to speak about this from a neuroscience perspective. I've really been doing a lot of research around it, and it's really helped me understand why we might be missing or adding to some of the things that are causing us to be this new version of ourselves, yet we're not seeing it stick yet. So let's talk about how we can make it stick. So the brain is a prediction machine. It uses your current wiring, your neural pathways, shaped by your past behaviors to forecast future behaviors. So it's like pattern recognition, for lack of better words. So if you've repeatedly done X could be scrolling, doom scrolling at night, smoking things you shouldn't be smoking. It can be grabbing a snack, reacting emotionally. Your brain builds pathways that make X, fill in the blank, automatic. So even if you're intending to stop smoking, overeating, doom scrolling, your brain is still wired for it. So basically what that means is that your cognitive load, so your mental load, and your willpower are limited, even if the intention is there. I mentioned this before, and I talked about it in a biblical sense of the fruit of the spirit, which one of them is self-control. Self-control is kind of like a muscle. It's finite and it's easily depleted. So honestly, if you start working out and you do great for 3 months, you're going to build up that endurance to be able to continue running or to be able to continue lifting. But as you stop doing that for 3 months, those muscles and that willpower and that endurance, it's going to go down. So relying solely on the motivation itself is why it's failing. That basically explains the gap between it. You have the intention of who you want to be and the desire of what you want to be, who you want to be, but your habitual environment, your wiring is set for who you are now. If you want to be someone who sleeps well, you're someone who has terrible sleep patterns, or someone who just wants to get up and do the work and not take 3 hours to do something that takes 30 minutes, but your brain is still wired to check your phone until midnight. The cycle goes cue, habit, reward. Your cue is it's time to go to sleep. Your habit is you pick up your phone and start doom scrolling. The reward is consistent dopamine because you keep scrolling and you keep getting those small, tiny little rewards. The change from that happens when you build new wiring via repeated habits, the new habits. This is why just deciding that you're going to change or be better or do differently is not enough. So the question is, how do you rewire your old habits into the new version of yourself and your new habits? I read the book Atomic Habits. I'm still kind of trying to finish it up. It's kind of like that last chapter where you're like almost done with the book, but you're not done with it. There was a key quote, a few key quotes actually in this book. And it said, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. The book is truly teaching you how to close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. And this is not a promo. I'm not getting paid for this. It's just something where you see small little tiny daily habits, micro habits build up. And then eventually you are that person that you talk about, that you have on your Pinterest board, that you wish to be. You just start acting like them. I don't think you're gonna wake up one day and see yourself completely different. You're just gonna notice that you don't snooze your alarm anymore. You're gonna notice that you eat more whole foods. You're gonna notice exercise is not an option. It is a requirement. You're gonna notice this person that cut me off, this person that's talking to me crazy, it's not gonna matter in 5 years, so I'm not gonna let it take more than 5 minutes. That's where it talks about shifting the identity into the person that really shows up the way you want them to show up. And he talks about this in the book by the 4 laws of habit. 1, make it obvious. 2, make it attractive. 3, make it easy. 4, make it satisfying. For example, if you want to learn how to read more, take 10 pages a day and read the 10 pages. That's it. You may not even get to the next chapter. You may still be in chapter 1 for the week because it's a 50-page chapter. But you take that 10 pages a day, you become a better reader, and then eventually you start becoming an avid reader when that becomes the small habit that transforms you into that new version of yourself. That's compounding habits. Small little things over time compound to a bigger bigger thing. So to connect that back to the brain, as far as the rewiring, these new habits create new pathways, gradually over time replacing the old ones. However, habits alone won't fully get you there. You do have to keep in mind that your mindset and your environment also play a really key point in this. Mindset and environment are pivotal, almost as pivotal as changing the habits that you're small, and then it becomes a big win and a big win. A second book that I've been reading is Rich AF by Vivian Tu, and she talks about rewiring the way that you're changing your relationship with money and just increasing your financial literacy. I'm really big on neuroscience and financial literacy, at least in this season of my life, and it's just showed you how you should think about the way you use these tools, because money is not like a thing that you have to have, it's a tool, and that's how people who are wealthy use it to their advantage, to keep using it to their advantage. And I think when you learn those little pieces and those little tips and tricks, you start applying that into every area of your life. In that book, she talks a lot about breaking out of a scarcity mindset, which I think is really important, because the average person, I feel like, thinks if I don't have this, like, it's scarce, I'm without it, and I don't know how to do this, and my habit is that I'm gonna freak out every time I see my account go lower than $200. Detach. And detach doesn't mean you're not interested. It just means detach from the outcome. Know that you're gonna find ways that you can realign the way that you put yourself in that space. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. Who you believe you can be, what you think your value is, and how you view your resources, so time, money, focus, all of that matters. The part on value that's really important to key in on right now is think about a water bottle. If you are thirsty, think about 3 different places you can get a water bottle from: grocery store, vending machine, and airport. The grocery store is gonna be like $1. The scarcity of not having water in a grocery store is next to none. There are so many bottles of water. A vending machine, there's only a certain amount of bottles of water, and then there's Gatorades, and then there's all these other things, Propels, all that. So gonna be about $3. And then on a flight, you know you're really thirsty, you need water, so you're gonna pay that top dollar for it. It's $6. Sometimes you feel like your value is less, not because it's true, but because you're in the wrong environment. Think about this water bottle picture when you think about, is my value actually low, or am I just placing myself in environments that don't feed or increase the way that I view myself? Focusing on that scarcity mindset of like what you don't have leads to reactive habits. It leads to being like, yep, I'm just gonna take this because that's what I need right now. And then you just build yourself deeper into the hole. The point right now is to stop thinking what I need right now is what I need right now. How can I make this better so that long term, I don't have to keep seeing the cycle of this repeat, and I can become that different version of myself. So sometimes when you're trying to change out that environment to get to those thoughts, you have to be someone who values changing that environment too. If you want to be someone who doesn't get tempted to scroll late at night, install an app blocker, but sometimes those don't work because I click snooze 15 minutes, ignore until the end of the day. Put your phone in a different room when you go to bed. Put the ringer on, leave it on if you just need to. Turn off app notifications for social media, so that if someone calls you and you need to get to it, you can get to it, but put it in the bathroom so you have to physically get out of bed from your nice, comfy, cozy bed, God willing, to get the phone. You're likely not going to want to do that. Or you might get up to turn it on silent so you can go back to sleep. Therefore, detaching the need to be around that phone. If you want to be someone who values rest, you don't get good sleep, or you feel like you don't know how to say no, and so you're always out and about, and you really just want to be more within yourself. Shift that mindset thought to, I value recovery. You need to recover your body and your mind and your energy. Some people get drained by people, others get energized by them. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier. You might wake up to the notifications. Where were you, girl? I didn't see you out last night, dude. Sorry, fell asleep. That's valuing recovery. That's shifting the mindset. That's shifting what you know into what you want to be. If you want to be someone who builds wealth, tell yourself, I am someone who invests and makes my money work for me. I don't work for money. It is simply those affirmations that get you to those actions, that get you to seeing that fruit produce. Automate a portion of your income into a high yield savings account. Again, another video for a different day, but a little piece of financial literacy if you're not familiar. A high yield savings account is a savings account where it's just like a savings account that you have right now perfectly in your bank account. The difference between that account and the high yield savings account though, is that account you'll get 0.0001% likely interest, which is next to nothing. Pennies on the dollar, literally. A high yield savings account, if you are putting that money and saving it like a regular savings account, that interest over time depending on who you decide to bank with, it can be 3.7%, it can be 4%, which is really good. 4% and higher on that interest is great because basically you're getting free money. You're basically saving up your money, so you're already doing a great thing, and then you're putting it in a high yield savings account, which is giving you maybe 20, 30, 40 bucks back, depending on how much the interest rate is, back on the money that you're already saving. So that way you're investing your money, you're getting interest, and it's just compounding over time. That's a great way to start small. If you don't know what to do or how to do it, just open up a high yield savings account, put like $200 in there to start, and then over time, automate it every time you get paid from your paycheck to have $50 or $100 go into it. And then set a date of, I don't know, next summer. So every month until next May, you are going to see $100 in that account. You're not even gonna think about it. It's not even gonna be a thought because we spend $100 so easily. You know what I mean? So like, if you're not thinking about it, and you know when you swipe your card that $100 is gone off of food, when that is automated into your account, you're gonna look back at May and be like, I only put $200 in here last fall. Why do I have $1,100? You weren't thinking about it. And then plus whatever interest rate you got it at, it could be $1,200 just simply because your money made money. You know what I mean? So take small steps. All in all, the focus on who you want to be and who you are right now comes from simple mindset and action changes. Like, it will feel like you are pulling teeth to be someone you're not, but that's why it's really important to put the value on why you're doing something. You never try to go into anything not knowing why you're doing it, because then if you create a habit without a reason, that is not good. It gets so much harder to unlearn something when you've found something pleasurable, but you don't know how to stop it. It can stop. You just have to rewire the value in why you do the things you do. As a recap, choose your identity. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Sometimes it's just as much as when you're in the store and you're like, should I spend $300 on clothes that I don't really need? Or should I spend $150 on drinks out with my friends? Knowing that I want to buy a new camera or buy a new car or pay down some debt, whatever it is, ask yourself, does this support the version of myself that is financially free, that does whatever they want with their time, that has their money make money? You know, it's not always about finances, but finances can help you live freer in a way. Number 2, pick one tiny habit that aligns with that identity. Make it so small that you can't fail. Even as simple as putting $100 into a high yield savings account. As simple as knowing you're gonna go to the grocery store after you've eaten so that you don't buy things you don't need. Shop healthier. Shop in a way that says, I love my body and I'm going to treat it well as well. Don't shop when you're hungry. Those are just small examples. Number 3, adjust your environment. Remove friction for the new habits to blossom. If you don't have a gym and you have a gym membership and it's 15 minutes across town, find a gym that's 5 minutes, that's walkable from where you are. Or don't get a gym membership, walk around your neighborhood, walk around your complex. Walking's free. It is a form of exercise. You don't have to be lifting and bench pressing and running on 2x speed to feel like you got a good workout in. It can happen the way that you think it can. Number 4, reinforce your mindset. Use a quote or an affirmation or a Bible verse to remind yourself daily why you're doing the things you're doing. For example, it can be that quote that I mentioned from the book earlier. Habits are compound interest of self-improvement. I don't know if I said that quote, but that's the one that came to my mind. Number 5, be consistent. Tiny improvements over time, you will see the results. But we live in such a fast-paced world that if we don't see it within a week, we don't want to keep doing it. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. And number 6, reflect weekly. Track your progress so you can see how far you've come from last month to this month, from this month to the beginning of next year. Track your progress. If you stayed until this long in the video, leave this emoji so I know that you're a real one, and so that I know that you're super pumped and excited about truly changing who you are for the betterment of who you would like to be. Don't think that it's going to take so much time, but even if it does take time, know that this is because this is positively impacting me, which means great things take time. It's why fast food isn't healthy. The faster it is, the less love it was cooked in, the less nutrition it has. Think about your life in the way that you're changing it in that aspect and watch it change drastically in the most positive and beautiful way. So I'll see y'all on the next episode of Party of One Podcast. Peace.